Welcome to the Happiness Safari podcast, your podcast for a happier and more meaningful life. My name is Nadine, and I'm so happy you're here to spend some time together because my vision is to support you to find your happiness journey, to help you live your personal development and spirituality how you would like to live life and experience it. I want you to fall in love with yourself and your life and create the life you want. So thank you for being here. And today on the podcast, I speak to Kora from Croatia. I never met her, but we realized that we had so much in common during the interview. From our toughest challenges to our favorite book, Kora and I share the same story. We both suffered a long period in our life until we started our healing journey. Kora is a human with a big curiosity to truly get to know and understand herself as much as possible in a lifetime, and I share that with her. After a decade of being completely unaware of her behavior and living a life full of suffering, drama, struggles, and many feelings she couldn't and didn't know how to let go of, she decided that her life could not be like this anymore. She became aware she must do something about it. For the last 3 years, she learned so much about herself, her relationships with her parents, sister, friends, colleagues, partners, and about the most important relationship in life with herself. The beginning was so hard, confusing, and she felt like she would never ever even feel better, as the healing journey is very unpredictable, confusing, intense, overwhelming, but the most rewarding and the most beautiful one, as it is leading you to self-acceptance, self-care, authenticity, and self-love. She's passionate about helping others on the journey, sharing light and setting an example, and sharing her experience so everyone can be inspired or encouraged to set themselves on a true life journey. At this point in her life, she is the most aware, joyful, open-hearted that she has ever been in her life. And she's very excited to see what she can create with this level of awareness, self-love, and responsibility she's having towards herself and the life she's creating. In today's episode, we speak about how you can get out of a challenging and sad period in your life. We also speak about yoga, breath work, qigong, meridian therapy, and all the things Kora tried on her healing journey. From this episode, you will learn why it is important to speak about your emotions and ask for help. Why it is important to be aware of your needs. Why do we sometimes need to go through emotional difficulties to come out on the other side? How all the answers are already inside of us and how to set boundaries. This interview with Kora was very inspiring and emotional for me, and I hope it will touch your heart too. Enjoy the episode. Hi, welcome everyone to this podcast. And today I have a lovely guest. Her name is Koraljka. I will probably call her Kora. She's from Croatia and now living in beautiful Portugal. So happy to have you here to talk about your journey. How are you today?
Thank you for having me. I'm feeling great because, as you mentioned, I am at the moment in beautiful Portugal, and just being close to the beach and the sea and ocean, and actually having sun every day. I think it makes me happy, and my life is kind of enriched by the sun. I am kind of like a sun addict, I would say. So just having a walk on the beach this morning just makes me happy, and so I'm feeling quite happy and good today.
Wow.
Already.
That is amazing. And yeah, that is a beautiful start into the day. And I think everybody who lives at a sunny place is like very lucky. There's a lot of people here probably listening, being at a place much colder. But guys, I can just tell you, come to Portugal either for vacation or just move there because it's really the perfect place to live. So yeah, very briefly, we talked about your name before and your origins from Croatia. So please tell us what your name means, because I think that's very beautiful.
Yeah, so actually Koraljka, it means coral. So Koral would be a name for a coral in the sea. The small animals, beautiful, that are forming the reefs that are kind of unfortunately dying. But yeah, so the name is actually driven from that, and then the extension Ka would kind of like be a female coral, like that would be completely origin. Maybe that's why I love the ocean and I love the sea, because my name even is kind of implying that I am from the sea. I was given this name, and I think my parents didn't think, they just loved the name. Actually, not my parents, but actually my granddad, because they knew already one girl, a family friend had a small girl, a child, and her name was Koraljka. And my grandpa really, really loved that name, and I think this girl. And then they decided to kind of name me also like this. So yeah, here I am, a
Oh,
little coral on the earth.
yeah, wow. That is beautiful. Actually, really beautiful. Yeah, would you like to share your story when your journey began toward happiness? Was there any point in your life where your journey started?
Yeah, of course. I think a person that reflects on life and things around, I think you always kind of know when this switch happens. Actually, the change and the journey is actually really a journey, and there is not one moment in time when change actually happens. It's a process. But I do remember the time when I um, kind of was in a really bad place. And I think in only very, very bad places, we just kind of have this urge to either save ourselves or probably distract ourselves. And I just kind of knew that I want to save myself. I in that point, now looking back, of course, I know from what I was saving myself. But in that point, I really didn't know anything. I was just really lost. That was kind of like, that was summer 2018. So actually 3.5 years ago around,
Mm-hmm.
where I really was not feeling good. I started to be depressed again. I just went through a breakup that was really, really emotional. I fell in love and it didn't work out. And I think every time when we are in emotional hardship, we just, yeah, we're trying to find a way out. And for me, this whole journey actually started with reaching out for help after never. I was always kind of thinking I'm very, very strong and I should endure everything on my own. I think it's quite a cultural thing. Is it because we are a woman and we need to be strong as men and all these things? Or maybe my nationality, where also Balkan people don't kind of talk about emotions, and they're not, they should endure everything what life kind of brings them. um I was also kind of like this, like I was really rarely or never before that asking for help in my life. And actually, now looking back, I think that that was the best thing that happened to me, that I searched for help, because I kind of was in a place in life where I just couldn't help myself anymore. I just didn't know what to do. I was really bad. I just wanted to disappear. I stopped eating. I stopped almost breathing. I just didn't want to be here anymore. And that was quite hard, of course, and sad and heavy, and yeah, it's not easy. But in that point, I just reached out to my friend that I know that she was doing some, let's call it alternative medicine, or things that people would say it's not so common. And the first thing, because I was really, actually, from all this not eating and stuff, I was just really so physically exhausted. Of course, it was a consequence of my mental state, but actually, the first thing that I realized I need to help myself is basically getting my physical strength, so I can't do anything else. So I reached out and I knew she was talking about meridian therapy. And I was like, okay, what is this? And actually, I reached out for help and I went for meridian therapy. That is actually unblocking the energetical paths that are called meridians in the body. And this actually really helped me to physically gain the strength to return to body, because I just really wanted to even leave that, obviously, from all this pain and struggles that I felt internally. Yeah, and then basically after a few months, I just kind of got back physically better. And then I could work also on mental things. And then also, it took me time, to be honest, to also start searching for help in psychotherapy. I think those things are also even harder to kind of decide to go in that direction, because yeah, it's a stigma, you again, of not being normal if you go to therapist and so on. But I really really knew that this is just the beginning of journey. So physically kind of building yourself up again was for me just the beginning. I started also doing yoga. Before that, I was always going to the gym and always kind of working on strength. And then with this breakup and everything, I was just like, I don't have strength to do anything in the gym. Like I need exercise, obviously. I need something, but I just cannot do anything that requires me to be full of energy and power, because I didn't have it. And yeah, with the meridian therapy, with doing lots of yoga that I, for the first time, started loving, because I gave a try to yoga several times and I always hated it. I must say, because my mind couldn't be still. And I was so frustrated to be there in silence and not moving much and holding poses for long. It made me so frustrated. But obviously there was a change inside of me. And then I also started loving yoga. So I'm still doing it quite often. So yeah, I think actually the summer of 2018 was kind of like a breaking point for me, where I was like, okay, whatever I'm doing in my life, whatever my life is in this moment, whoever I am, I just don't want to be this. Like, I don't want to have this life that I had. And I really didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go, what I want, nothing. But I just really had this internal kind of feeling, I have to stop this. I cannot live like this. I don't want to go through emotional ups and downs every time after breakup. I don't want to fall apart. I don't want to feel this pain anymore. I think I felt deep sadness and pain, and those were the triggers for me from emotional aspect to just kind of be like, I don't want to go through this ever again. I need to do something. And yeah. And then I started working really. And yeah, to come to this happiness that I have now. And I don't want to like deceive people like you're happy every day. That's you are, and those are moments. We feel all the feels, and I have also moments of sadness still, and I crave some things and I desire some things that I don't have. It's, I think, in human nature. But overall, I think this sadness, even when it comes up, or pain, I just know now how to navigate through it and don't get sucked in so deeply that I need to stop my whole life to be able to survive. And this is what is kind of changed. It's not like, oh, I'm happy every single moment of my life. This is not sustainable state of being. I think we feel everything. But at least those things, when things do affect you, when emotions are here, where feelings just overwhelm you, I can now navigate through this. I explain it like this always to people, like I now can navigate through these feelings.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It's very interesting, because I really feel you, because I feel you just explained my story, and it was exactly the same time. Like, it was also kind of
Oh,
beginning
really? Wow.
summer, 2018, where I felt exactly the same way, like very lost and also after a breakup and very depressed and kind of very similar. So I can really feel how you felt. And I think what I really like to ask you is because you also said to yourself like you just didn't want to live that life anymore, and I had like this voice inside me as well. And I've been wondering, do you think, because you also said there wasn't one moment in time, it was like a journey, but that there were maybe things happening in your life kind of trying to tell you or show you to maybe like look inside or change something, but then you didn't listen and it was gradually like increasing. And at some point, now if you look back, then you're like, okay, now I cannot take it anymore. But do you think you've been also like ignoring some signs for some time before?
For sure, because this was not like I had now with this awareness, knowledge, and kind of being in tune with myself. I was living life in patterns, and definitely in my romantic relationships, patterns were kind of the most visible. There are also patterns in kind of I had suiting patterns. You know, I would either overeat or don't eat if I'm emotionally or stressed or distressed. Like if it's too much, then I would have we call it coping mechanism, but actually it's a way how I was shooting myself because I just didn't know anything else. I didn't know any other mechanism to help myself. So I was living this life of very, I would say, unaware of these patterns. Now I'm quite aware of them, and I had, these kind of things back in 2011. I had the same things back in 2015. So I had the same experience, actually, just the other person was next to me that was kind of triggering this big sadness that, and as I said, it always kind of in these emotional relationships because they're very close to our parents' relationship and so on. So I would say that yes, I definitely experienced this at least 3-4 times before I actually reached the bottom where I said I cannot handle this anymore. This pain is so big. But it now makes sense because I was not working through it. I wasn't solving things. I was just continuing to live the same life, act the same, like not set the boundaries. I allowed people to step on me. Like, of course, people will take advantage of this. Like that's how it goes. Like if you don't set the boundary, then people will just take, and they will not give you anything if you also don't express your needs. So I was really. Now I'm really aware that I also have a part in this how people treated me, and because I wasn't communicating, I wasn't aware of my needs. I grew up thinking that I shouldn't have needs because then I'm a burden, I'm a problem. And with all this work now, I can then make these connections that this all goes from my childhood, of course. But then in my adulthood life, it kind of it was always triggered by emotional things. So I had these kind of things. Unfortunately, I wouldn't say too many times, but I had them few times, and it's not like I didn't want to work on myself, because looking back now, on the things that I wrote somewhere, I always was kind of like I want this easier, better life, call it like this, without less struggle, without less with less pain and suffering. I wanted it, but I really didn't know how to get there. And I truly believe that we do go through things that we have to, and they are really sometimes almost unbearable physically, mentally, emotionally, but we have to go through them to get to this point of, for obviously you and me, summer of 2018, where you say, okay, this isn't like this ends here. Because I was kind of thinking I'm doing progress, and I probably did. Like from this first time in 2000 whatever, and then 11 and 15, every time I did the little steps, I must say, and I did learn more about me, about myself, and learn from these experiences and these relationships. But until I really went super deep to understand why this is happening to me, why am I choosing these partners? Why am I staying in these relationships? Why? Until until I didn't make this connection between my relationship with parents, and actually kind of worked with the therapist to be comfortable with having needs, and being comfortable with setting boundaries. I didn't know what boundaries are. Like I really didn't know. Like I truly didn't know about that. Like maybe 1.5 years ago or 2 max.
Wow.
And of course, you read about this and maybe, but you just actually don't understand it. You don't understand why it's so hard for you to set them. I didn't know that. And I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to set the boundaries. I didn't know how to communicate this. And I was just then suffering because I didn't set them. And then, of course, people were just, thinking you're always there for them, that you have endless time, that you have endless energy for them, and that you can just give, give, give. But it's my responsibility, what I realized in therapy, that it's my responsibility that I set my boundaries and that I communicate mine. And until I do that, I will have the same experience. And I would, after 5-6 months of any relationship, even friendships and relationship with your siblings, with your parents, with partners, you will just be very resentful. You will resent them for treating you like this, but you didn't set any ground rules how you want to be treated. So it's really like, for me, it's not. It was complex, but now understanding a lot more, I see why is it so important to talk about those things for me, needs and boundaries. So yeah, I don't know what was the first question. I'm talking so much. I was like, what did we talk about actually? Yeah, what did you ask me? But yeah, it's part of the journey, right?
Exactly. And it's super interesting. And I think it's, very, very like useful to hear for people. So I feel like, everybody who is listening, I just want to, I guess also with this podcast, create awareness. And as you say, that no, we're not always happy people, and that probably doesn't exist, but there is a different way of living, like a happy and content life where you kind of found yourself and you worked on yourself, and let's say a way before that. And I feel that it's often that life means slapping us slightly in the face. So when you said 2011, 2015, and that was probably the same for me, but we kind of like ignore that. And then at some point, life pushes you down and you fall, and all you can do is get up again. But then you're like, really, you hit rock bottom. And I really want to encourage people who are listening and who feeling, I think you don't have to hit rock bottom. I think like you can like seek for help, because I think sometimes we just wait too long. Yeah, as you say, there's nothing wrong with like getting help from a therapist or, a coach, or like, even starting yoga, or like just speaking to people. Also, it starts with speaking maybe to friends about it, because that's what I like learned as well. I've been trying to hide because I was also like in a quite high position in my company, and I had like people working under me, and I didn't want it to, I guess, come across like weak. So I couldn't really like share with anyone. I think when I started speaking about how I felt, then like everybody opened up to me. I felt, half of my company had kind of the same struggles or different struggles, but struggles, like people like struggle with life. It's not always just about your circumstances. Obviously, it can be like the job or it can be the relationship, but it's what you can actually control is always your inner state. And I really believe if you start working on yourself, then you also attract, as you say, other people, other relationships, like in another job, like people treating you a different way. And you can actually fix that and heal that and have a better life. So I feel just, if you're listening and you feel you're at a point, and no matter if it's a slightly slap in the face or if you feel like you hit rock bottom as well, like there's no reason to wait and to suffer. And if you can, like try to find help in any way like possible, because they are people. And I felt that just when I opened up, that they are like so many amazing people. You can actually share things with, and they can like help you in so many different ways. And I want to definitely hear more about that meridian therapy, because I'm not sure if I heard about that before. But yeah, so whatever fits for you, just wanted to say that for everybody who's listening. Yeah, but please share a little bit about that. How did that work?
So yeah, meridian therapy. So this is actually what I discovered later while doing my yin yoga teacher training. I was aware of meridians and body itself, that emotions could get stuck, but then after the training, I realized how this works. So basically, as you have the bones and the nerve system and veins and everything, that's how you have these energetical paths in your body. And they can get clogged. Like if you don't process the emotions you have, if you just kind of in life we would say you put things under the rug. So basically, if you put all these emotions inside, and we have them all the time, but if we don't process them, if we don't let go of them, especially the ones that are really, really strong, then basically they make these meridians clogged, and then the energy cannot flow in our body. And this is when also, for instance, some sicknesses can develop, because this energy is enabling you to actually function, because we are not just bones and flesh and skin. We are energetical beings. I think it was even proven by researchers. I'm not a doctor or a scientist in this way, or anthropologist for sure, but I am interested in human body, with body and the mind and the soul. So we are having also an electromagnetic field around us. So basically, we do have energy inside of us. And this energy, if it's not flowing, then you can really get mental blocks. This is how cancers also are formed, because there is imbalance in your body, not just from blood perspective, but also energy wise. And what actually meridian therapy does is, it's not like acupuncture. It does work on a similar way, that you have some, I wouldn't say points in your body. It's rather like lines of meridians that are kind of going from here to all the way to your feet and so on. So there are 12 meridians, if I remember correctly. And basically, what the therapist, body meridian therapy, does is that they have a small pen that is putting kind of like electric impulses to stimulate the energy in your body. So it's not, as I said, it's not needles like acupuncture. It's just like this kind of pen that I was always curious to see. And I was like, what is this? What are you doing? But yeah, it's actually like a pen that puts a little electromagnetic impulses, so that the energy starts circulating again. And of course, as a therapist that is very experienced, they can, for instance, the therapist explained to me that just everything is in the ear. Like if she looks at in my ear, like from the endings and the colors, and if the ear has some more skin or less, it's just crazy. Yeah, she knows what she's doing. That she can see if some of the organs are not functioning good. So it's really interesting to as you said, like our body is always signalizing us when it's not good, sometimes we just don't know it, or we just ignore it. We just walk through the pain. We just walk with, I don't know, a cold for 3 weeks, not having a proper rest. This is what we do. And actually what she then, and when I came there, she was honest, and she said, like, you're energetically, like, there is no energy in your body. Like, it's not flowing. And I was like, yeah, I feel it. I cannot barely walk. So I know I don't have energy. But then with therapies and sessions that I had, basically sometimes I was really confused because she just told me and explained me, because I would call her and I was like, I don't know what's happening, I feel so weird. And she was like, yeah, you are regaining the tools that were always inside of you, but you forgot to use them. And this is something that is in my mind, not often, but I do remember these words, because as this journey is going and I'm working and discovering things about myself, I am discovering that everything's inside of us, but we just don't use it. From the breath, like prana, and from energy, and from well-being, like everything is inside. All the answers are inside, but society, life is pushing us to not think about that, to not be focused on that. We are focused on career, we're focused on I don't know, like buying house, something new. It's distancing ourselves from who we truly are, because all the answers are inside. Because I started to kind of feel more confident after this therapy, like in a way, not confident, but confident making decisions. And I said, like, what is this? What did you do to me? I was confused. But she was like, don't be scared of this, because I didn't know I had this in me. And I was like, what? I'm not sure if I know how to use this. And she was like, take time, like, you don't need to act on it like today. Just, like, just feel through this, feel this energy that you're having, these thoughts that you're having, that you are kind of responsible for your life. Like, this was all inside. I'm just now clearing the way for all these things that were very suppressed, that I just, with outside emotions, with struggle, with pain, with life, with all this conditioning from society, from parents, from I don't know, universe, probably. We just put we're very conditioned as humans, I think, from we need to be like this, we need to act like this, we need to perform, we need and then we get lost in all this, because it's like, it's very hard to then hear what you actually need. And she gave me these tools that I kind of listen more what I need, and to be confident that these feelings and this, we call it gut feeling, that these things that are coming from inside are correct, that you don't ignore them anymore. Because this is why I didn't react in 2011, 15, whatever. I wasn't listening to myself. I didn't hear myself probably at all. Like I wasn't connected. All these things were not connected. I was doubting my decisions. I was not sure. I knew that something, but I wasn't, so kind of confident to say, okay, no, Kora, you're going to listen to yourself. You need this. And don't think what others expect from you or what others think you need. You need to know what you need. And this was also like just really physically kind of connecting myself more with my body, with my feelings, with just listening. Okay, does this feel good? Do I feel comfortable with this, in this friendship, at this job, with this even small things, like with this interaction at the street that I had. Like, I just started listening what feels good, and now I'm following this feeling. And it's a work in progress, I always say, because you still have moments where past experiences, and we all live in our heads most of the times, unfortunately, and less in our body. And our head is full of experiences, full of perception based on those experiences. So again, I'm coming to this conditioning. So I do sometimes still lose this connection where my mind is stronger than the feeling. But as I said, like, now with this awareness, I can kind of, I wouldn't say control it. It's a wrong word, but I can distinguish this. Oh, this is my head talking. Oh, this is my gut feeling talking. And it's still very hard to do that. For me, really, I'm sometimes confused with, like, what is my mind and what is my feeling? This is where I'm still working on to just kind of be like, okay, no, this is my mind and this is very conditioned and this is full of fears, but my feeling says something else. So yeah, I'm trying to follow my feelings more than ever, but like not feelings towards other people or something, but just actually my internal feeling of, okay, this is good and this is not so good for you, so this is kind of, yeah.
Wow. And how did you, would you say that was definitely your biggest, shift, that you actually started listening to yourself and setting boundaries, you said, and listening to your feelings and what it was actually what you wanted, and living a life aligned to that? I think it's hard for everybody to distinguish the mind and the gut feeling.
Yes.
So I don't know, is there like a tool, or is like, what do you do? How do you know which one is what when you're not?
It's not actually a tool. I think like all these practices, like being mindful, meditation and yoga, really helps. It helps to hear. This is my experience, and for everyone else it's different, I'm sure. But all these things where I'm connecting with myself or connecting very deeply with myself. For instance, one of the things that I really discovered last year, I tried it in 2019. So the second kind of like journey for me, or a milestone in this whole, was me going to Thailand in February 2019, when I was still not there yet, to be honest. But I just also again said to myself, you need to go and experience this. I always wanted to go. And why am I mentioning this? Because there I for the first time experienced breath work. I never had breath work. Like, we all breathe, but I would never, like, before that moment, said that you can have a breath work, so, and this is what happened. I went to this healing and awakening school in Kopangan that I can always just recommend, because it was the best 5 days of my life, probably, until that moment, where you have opportunity to try so many things, from Qigong, Vipassana, like still meditations, dynamic meditations, Osho meditation, some constellations that I don't know. Like, the schedule of 5 days is just packed with things that you can do, and also very different styles of yoga you can try. But I just kind of enjoyed breath work. I healed in this one session so much. It's called like rebirthing method of breathing. Still, I would never forget this woman that for the first time in my life discovered breath work for me. And this was a 2.5-hour session where you breathe in different styles. For me, I think I cried for 1.5 hours of this session, and I was sobbing. And I don't know. I cannot put it into words. My body was shaking. It was very like physically exhausting, super, super physically exhausting, to be honest, because after that I was, I don't know, 3-4 hours super tired. But in one point I remember that Leonie came to me and put hands on my belly and asked me, what is this? If I can put it into emotion, because she asked me if this is anger. And I just said, no, this is sadness and pain. And that was just pouring out of me. Like, I was just really 1.5 hour. I don't know what happened there. So this is something that I always come back to breath work. This is my method. There are few now facilitators. Last year I discovered the breath guy that I can only recommend. A lovely Australian guy lived in London at that moment when I discovered him. So breath work is something that helps me a lot.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, I must say, yeah.
Yeah. That sounds like a incredible experience, and it's so cool. I think, but tools like that, because I feel people can experience that also in like a meditation, or like even a yoga class, or there are so many like healing practices where you could have this shift. But also, I mean, for you and everybody's listening, I actually just interviewed a breathwork facilitator. So if you go 2 episodes back, you can listen to the interview with her, and she's speaking a lot about breathwork. But it is, it's a wonderful tool. So I would, and like, anyways, put that in the show notes. Also, that center in Thailand sounds wonderful, and also funny, lots of similarities. So, I mean, guys, we didn't actually talk about this before. So, I mean, I went to India actually, but in February 2019, like to an ashram, and also did something like that, like a 5-day silence course where you learn different meditations and tools like that. So, yeah,
it's I think all these things really, and I'm always open to share experience, and this is also why we are talking today, because talking about those things, because people don't know, like I didn't know about breathwork until I came there, and if I wasn't, I don't know, open enough or brave enough, call it what you want, to try new things, I wouldn't know, I wouldn't have a tool that helps me. So go, my always advice would be for everyone, like ask people around and go for not everything, but what feels comfortable, or that you're curious enough to go and try it. And maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Like for some people, they cannot meditate. Meditation doesn't work, breathwork doesn't work, but yoga does, or some other, like dancing, tantric dancing. I don't know. Like find the things that help you. I was curious enough to try a lot of things, but the things that actually helped me is yoga, breathwork. Qigong is also something really, really, really great. Meridian therapy, and maybe, like, I wouldn't say classical therapy. So yeah, talking with someone, having this expert, because I felt it in my body, but my mind was still, for instance, this is why I went then later after the meridian therapy and after the Thailand experience, I went actually end of 2019 to a therapist, because I still wasn't mentally convinced that I deserve this new life, that life can be led, that life can be led without so many struggles. Because you said at the beginning, we all struggle. And you talking about your struggles, you realized, oh my God, everyone around me struggles with something. And this is, and I know that life cannot be led without struggles, but that they're not so often, that they are not so big, that I just have these tools to overcome them. This is where I was still not convinced mentally that I deserve this. You know, like I already started with body and energies, and kind of I started with body more working, because maybe I felt that body is so weak in this moment, that I need to rebuild this first. And then mentally, only after talking with therapists, actually, I just, all this like kind of dots connected in my head, where I was like, yeah, this is happening. That's why I'm reacting like this. Oh, that's why I'm thinking I'm not deserving this. Oh, that's why I think I'm not enough. Oh, that's why I think this. And this is where the therapy actually helped me, this kind of bridge the last thing, because I really think we as humans are everything what you see, everything what you feel, and also everything what you cannot see and feel. And this is actually the belief of, like, yeah, I have my body, I have the things that I feel, but I also have these things that I don't feel or see. And this is energy, for instance. So because thoughts are also energy, actually, they're the connections in the brain produce some energy, and this is how it works. Or someone else can explain it better for sure. But yeah, this is why I think that if you want to heal from things, if you want to get rid of this, either sadness, pain, anger, resentment, whatever is really occupying your body, and it's getting like you're kind of stuck in life, you need to work the holistic way. We are everything. So work on the body, work on energies, work on mental health, on your heart, like everything what you can release, everything what you can try, everything what you're interested in, just do it, and you will find one way, one thing that works. But if you don't try, then you will have again replaying 2011, 15, 18, and 19, and all these years. They will just look the same. And yeah, it will be just another person triggering this everything that but actually the experience is at the end the same if you don't do anything about it. I don't know.
No, I love that, and that's so true.
My conclusion on my thing, you know, kind of how this journey is still, and I always still work in progress. I still find myself, you know, overthinking things, being doubting myself, accepting also treatments that I am at the end not happy about. It's work in progress. And for instance, I would always before judge myself very harshly, and I was like, oh my God, Cora, you did the mistake again. Like, well, when are you going to learn? I was really hard on myself. I think this is in the nature of everyone. Like, we are so gentle towards our friends or siblings, but then we are so hard on ourselves. And this is where I need to constantly remind myself to be gentle towards myself. And I have some friends that really, when I start talking bad about myself, I have a really dear friend that he always tells me, stop talking about my best friend like this. And I'm like, wow, okay, that's a game changer. Like, he doesn't allow me to talk like this about myself. And it's really important to also have these kind of people that put things into perspective and that cannot like just blindly cheer for you. So that's what I wanted to say more.
Wow. No, I don't think it's all like, very, very useful and very inspiring. And I hope for everybody who's listening, you get something out of it. And I love that also. I mean, try research. I mean, there are so many things, and I'm trying to interview as many people and get as much inspiration on this podcast of like things you can actually do. And there is so much that I think I don't even know about, and I've tried a lot myself.
Of course,
but it is like a beautiful journey, and I'm very happy you woke up this time and you started that journey, and you are where you are now. So at the end, I always have 3 questions, and maybe you can just answer them short and sweet, whatever comes to your mind. Okay. So one is, what does happiness mean to you?
I would say the first thing that comes to my mind is freedom. I don't know, like for me, being free, you know, to be free, to be who I am, to be free to do things that I want, and to enjoy things that I do enjoy. That's happiness. For me, it's freedom.
Yeah. Right. And what do you do to be happy?
I take care of myself. I think that well-being is something that we're not taught, unfortunately, because so many people neglect themselves, and then they teach you how to neglect yourself. It just passes on generationally. And, you know, when I see all these people really not taking time to take care of themselves, and when I think and I say take care of myself, I don't think on creams and lotions and nothing like this. Taking care of myself means I'm giving my body what it needs. And this is for me, sun, healthy, good food, exercise, rest. This is the way to go for me.
And what was the happiest moment in your life?
Wow, it's very hard to name one. This is really hard. But then I will play it smart and say, every time when I'm truly, truly present and grateful to myself, and grateful for myself, for my life. When I really, truly experience this, that I am so happy to be alive. And I started feeling this I wouldn't say not so quite recently, but maybe, I don't know, a 1 year or 1 year and a half, I would say, where I really, for the first time, really, truly, truly was grateful for this gift of life that I was given. And before that, I never was grateful for life. I was always thinking it's not fair. I wanted to stop it. I was very negative about it. And I would say this is happiness when I am truly grateful for the life that I am given.
Yeah. It's really beautiful. Made me a little bit speechless.
It makes you think. And those moments are rare and those moments are precious. And if you can have them as much as possible, because it's not going to come every day, I think for me, being aware of them is really, really important.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. I feel all the feelings.
Yeah. One more question I like to ask is there any book you would like to recommend? Is there any book you read which kind of changed your life, really inspired you?
I would say Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer, I think. I think I read few books on soul and everything, like connections and stuff. But I think this one was the first one that actually explained things in such an easy way that everyone can understand it. Because some of the books are really complicated. If I go into Eckhart Tolle and then I get lost on I don't know which page, and I'm like, I cannot process this, especially if I'm reading in not my native but English language. Then it can be really challenging. So I would say Untethered Soul. This would be my one book recommendation, to start with this and then just let it go from there. Just
very
enjoy the process. Enjoy the ride.
That's also the book which changed everything for me. And I just mentioned that on the last interview, actually, but I will put it again. So for everybody who didn't hear it or didn't see it or didn't read it yet, because it is the book which I also feel like, it explains everything so wonderfully.
Soul connections. That's how it goes. That will be the book, because it's very easy to understand, to not get overcomplicated and then still give you this okay, I can do something. It just gives you this spark of you can create your life. Maybe you don't know how, you don't know what you want to create still. It's still okay. But it gave me this okay, I have to follow this, I need to be more curious. I need to explore myself, my soul, my mind, heart, body. Untethered Soul. Amazing book.
God, amazing. I mean, thank you so much. This was so, really touching my heart, and I'm so happy you shared your story, and I really hope you inspire so many people to listen and to do something and get some help and try to seek this life, and also knowing that there is a much better life on the other side if you start searching for it and starting a journey. So thank you so much for sharing. Thank you.
Thank you so much for giving me the space and time to share the story. And if I can say anything to anyone who's listening, you're not alone in this struggle. We all struggle, and there is a way, I would say out, but to make struggle less painful and a little bit more tolerable. And you just need to keep on working.
Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Happiness Safari podcast. If you want to get in touch with Kora or Thank you so much for joining me on another episode of the Happiness Safari podcast. If you want to get in touch with Kora or find out more about breathwork, Qigong, or body meridian therapy, I will put all the links in the show notes for you. There you will also find how to contact me on social media or how to get a free discovery 101 coaching session with me. If you enjoy listening to this podcast, please leave me a like or a 5-star rating and a review wherever you're listening. This helps podcasts a lot to be found, and I appreciate every single one of you so much. Thank you very much. Don't forget, happiness is the only thing which doubles when you share it. So please share the podcast with your friends and help me to make the world a happier place. Be safe, be happy, love and namaste.